Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 26, 2021 at approximately 7:21 a.m. PST. Now, I was asked a question the other day. It came through the messages. Don't remember which system, but at the bottom of this video, you'll find a whole list of different ways of contacting me. And as I've told people, if you ask me a question, I will do my best to answer it. Okay. Anybody that leaves a message, there's no way I'm going to utilize their name. Okay. Before I get started, hopefully I get a thumbs up on this video, and absolutely, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, remember to hit the alert button so that you can get the rest of them as they come up. Because I do try and get these videos out once a day. Seldom at the same time, but that's just the way my life goes. That said, these are live recordings, meaning whenever I do the recording, the only thing I do at the end of it is I check to make sure I got the date right. And then I post it as is, with all the quirks, all the hiccups, any stumbles. That's the way I am. I figure, why try and hide it? If you run into me in person, I talk exactly the same way, but the hands don't move quite as much. Okay, anyway, as I said to start with, I was asked a question. How do you deal with the loss of a loved one and still be able to move forward? Now, there are so many ways that you can lose a loved one. And we could list them all off. There's not much point. I'll leave your imagination to it. In this case, it had to do with a pet. Okay, a very loved family member that, sad to say, passed away. As far as I understand it, the little four-legged fuzzy kid passed away due to normal life experience, i.e., got too old. And I was asked, how do you move forward when that individual has been the center of your world, really. Sorry about the hiccups. Told you, this is why I don't read my own stuff. I stumble over my words all the time. But something to get clear right away, and I've heard a staggering number of variations on this. But considering the number of times I've physically been dead and been on the other side, scrap the whole idea of near death. I just went right to the other side of it and got onto the end of what was going on there. Now, I can tell you from practical experience, never mind theory, never mind what anybody's read, from what I've seen, your pets, your family, friends, pets, even in a couple of cases, I've seen plants get over to the other side. Anything that has life. Okay. And rest assured, life is not as limited as what humans think. Okay. But every species, every form of life gets over to the same place. So when a loved one passes away, we can go with the simple answer and go, you'll see them again when you're dead. Well, the unfortunate part is that's not where the problem is. Once you're dead, what's happening here doesn't matter quite as much in most cases. But when a loved one passes away, okay, rest assured, they've run out of their body. Okay, their body no longer works. This doesn't mean their soul is gone. Okay, and quite often, people talk to me about the fact that they can still feel a loved one, be it a pet or a person, doesn't matter. They tell me they can feel a person, the individual. Well, I will tell you this. Being a working medium since I was born, I will quite readily agree with them. So the first thing to realize is, yes, the corporeal body has died. Okay, and, nobody's trying to delude themselves into saying, no, he's not gone, he's not gone. Well, in all fairness, they usually do for the first little while. But the trick is to realize that, first of all, the fact that you're still feeling them, or that it still feels like they're around, more often than not, they still are. Okay, so the trick, how do you move forward? Well, here's a trick. Get it. Make sure you've got a decent picture of them. This is sort of an after-the-fact thought, but make sure while they're around you get a decent photo of them. At the very least, you'll have solid memories. Okay, and the easiest way to move forward, if you've got a photo of them, is take that photo with you to wherever you're moving to. Okay, if you're leaving the house, because many people, when they lose a loved one, they go, I can't stay in this house anymore. There's too many memories. Okay, and the problem, the thing there, I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but if you've decided to move houses for whatever reason, make sure you take the picture of that path with you. You know, a decent one. You don't have to have several thousand of them. In all fairness, you could build a shrine and it wouldn't do a thing to hold them up. But one good picture is all it'll require. Okay, it'll do the trick. You take one good picture with you, put it someplace where you can see it, where it doesn't interfere with your day-to-day life. Okay, and this applies to whether it's a person or an animal. It doesn't matter. Okay, you take that person, you take that picture, you put it someplace where it's comfortable, where you can see it when you desire to, and not necessarily where everybody else does. That's up to you. But by taking that picture with you, it will help you feel like that pet is still around you. Okay, you know, beyond just the fact that you're feeling the energy still. You know, then the reality of it is, when you're doing that, it'll help you settle in and carry on moving forward. It gives you the opportunity, if you're used to talking to the pet, you know, if that's been where your world is, you sit down and you talk to the picture. If you really want to get, if you want to get a little bit more clear about it, okay, you've got a couple of ways of doing it. You can sit down in the privacy of your own home with that picture and talk to it, just as though they're right there. And I don't expect you to necessarily understand this one or experience it yourself. But I can tell you, from what I've seen, you sit down with that picture, you talk to them, and you'll feel the answers. But when you're asking them questions, ask them in terms that can be answered as a yes or no. Now, when you do that, the most common time to feel a response is either across the back of your neck or across your forearms. And the stronger that tingle is, kind of like the hair standing up on the back of your arms, the more powerful the yes, the more powerful that tingle. If you don't get anything, it's either a no, or if you have made contact to start with, they may just not have heard you yet. Because you got to remember, they got to learn how to communicate as well. But you can do it there. You can go down where nobody will question whether you're having troubles, right? You can go down to any gravesite. It doesn't even have to be wherever you buried the individual. Okay, go to any gravesite at all. The energy there is quite convenient for talking to loved ones that have passed away. Now, the nice part about gravesites is nobody questions who you are or who the person was that was left behind, and they just leave you alone while you talk to the loved one that's gone on. Okay, that will make it a whole lot easier for you. Now, if you're of some mindsets, I mean, I'm a firm believer that there's no problem with having people a little bit confused. So personally, I like the concept. If you're a little different, you take that picture with you to a restaurant. Sit down and talk to that individual as though they're sitting across the table. Now, I will tell you, if you do that, you're going to get some weird looks from people. Okay, that's only if you're into that sort of thing. Most of the time, the privacy of your own home or in any gravesite at all, it doesn't matter. It can be an actual cemetery. It can be a gravesite on the side of the road that you unfortunately see. Anyone will work. Okay, because it makes it easier for them to connect. The energy is just really conducive in that fashion. Okay, now the one thing you got to remember is, and this is the hard part for most of us, once that person is gone, the odds of them coming back are not good. Okay, once in a while, I'm a case in point. You get diagnosed dead, shipped off to the morgue. I didn't like the diagnosis, so I left. And net result, here I am. Okay, but by taking that picture with you, put it someplace that is proper for you in the new place you move into, and that will help you feel like they're still there. Okay, you'll still be able to talk to them. You'll still be able to confide in them, and in your own home especially. Who's going to complain? Okay, and if they do complain, you got to wonder exactly just what kind of a connection you've got in the first place. Okay, now the other part of this is, do you actually want to hold on to the past, or do you desire to hold on to it? Okay, sometimes it's easier to let it go. Now, the reason for that picture is if you are sure that you still desire to bring that energy with you. It's not holding on to the past. This is why you're taking the photograph. The memory's already there. The photograph doesn't make it any more so. The trick is when you bring that photo with you, it will help you cope for the time being until you get other things going that can replace that requirement. And especially if you bring somebody else into your life that can replace that energy. In other words, if you're used to confiding in your pet, because that's just all you've had around, and that pet up and passes away, but you bring a person into your life, okay, that person will, in all likelihood, become the person you confide in. This does not mean you love the pet less. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the pet. It just means that life has gone forward. At that point, the pet will know that it's safe for them to move forward, to find their own new life, find their own incarnation where they're planning on coming. Okay, and there's a couple of things that can happen there, and we're just going to leave those to your imagination because of one little detail. Some things can be said that will implant a subliminal message that can create all kinds of complications. Okay, where it comes to the pet, once you find that special someone, whether it is another pet or a person, you'll find you start confiding in them more and more and less in the pet. This is a simple indication that you're now evolving past that point. You're ready to move forward. Okay, these are just simple ways of coping with the fact that you've had a major loss. Now, I will tell you, there is another side to this. In this individual's case, they knew what happened. They knew where the pet ended. In the case when you don't know whether it happened, okay, whether or not the person is even dead, when they've just vanished out of your life, okay. Now, this happens when a pet runs away, or when a child runs away for that matter. And I will tell you, much as you as an individual may go, well, if my child runs away, that's going to be terrible. If my pet runs away, I can cope with it. Well, the reality of it is, for many people who the only thing they've got is the pet, losing a pet that runs away or gets killed somehow that they don't know what happened, it's as bad as losing the child. Okay, or not knowing where the child or the loved one is. In a case like that, okay, this is where it becomes very important to realize, many of you that have sadly, and to those of you that have recently lost somebody, my sincere condolences. Okay, now, moving forward from that can be an even bigger problem, but the method of solving it of coping with it is pretty much the same. You keep a decent picture of the person that you're mourning that has disappeared, and you put the picture up someplace where you can see it when you desire to. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean hide it on the back of a closet unless you're into that sort of thing. It means put it someplace where it's not necessarily right in a prominent position in the house. Okay. Especially if you happen to have had the really unfortunate misfortune of losing a fiance, losing a husband, losing a wife. Okay. do not put that picture in the main position in the living room. That is traditionally where the current relationship sits as far as photos go. But having a photo around is not going to be a problem with the right person. The reality of the other side of that is some of you will leave the room completely intact, or you'll leave everything as it was. Now here's the thing. Okay, many people will tell you you've got to move forward, which I do agree with. You do have to. And there's this theory that if you put a shrine together, you'll stop somebody from moving on in the afterlife. Well, that doesn't work that way. You could literally build a shrine for somebody, and their soul will still move on when it's ready. Okay. But I will tell you, having a whole pile of pictures of that special someone that you've lost will make it difficult for you to emotionally move forward. It will also make it difficult for you to let anybody else get close to you. So keep it down to a good picture of the person, someplace where you can see it, where you don't feel like you're forgetting them. Because rest assured, you won't forget them. You may forget where you stored the memory of them. Okay, as time goes on, things shift around. Okay, but the memory will hold. Okay, and in time, you will end up seeing them again. Okay, in all likelihood. Where that becomes a bit different is most of the time, okay, the average turnaround time for somebody passing away and then coming back into this side of the veil, the average turnaround time is 70 years. Okay, so if you outlive the person by 70 years, the odds are they're not there anymore. Some are. Some stick around for centuries. I got a good friend of mine that I knew back during the Black Plague, during the Black Death, that we got along fantastically. Well, he stuck around. Okay, and he's still here with me this day. Okay, and rest assured, he makes himself known, even though he passed away. Well, he passed away sometime in around about 1360, I think. And then I ran into him again a couple of hundred years later in England. Okay. Yeah, both of those were in England, but here I am now in Canada, and he's here again. The difference is this time he didn't bring a corporeal body with him. So when you're striving to move forward from a loved one, like from the passing of a loved one, it's very difficult for most people if you don't know what happened, if they've simply vanished. It's not the fact that they're gone that causes the problem, or the fact that they left. It's the fact that you don't know. Okay, that picture will help you cope. And until you know, and this is why so many people push for an answer as to what happened. Not so much how did they disappear, but why. Did they disappear? Did they disappear voluntarily, or did they have an accident and die, or what was the story? This is why it is so important to find out, for most people, what happened. Okay, the easier method, well, no, not easier. For me, it was easier. Not overly, but in time, what happens is you finally go, okay, they're not coming back. For me, when I had somebody did that to me, they just disappeared out of my life with no warning. It took me 2 years to be able to move forward. Okay, before I could look at anybody else, before I could even let anybody near me. Okay, and that was because I didn't know what happened. For 2 years, I worried about what had happened. I didn't even know if they were alive. I was pretty certain they were, but I didn't have anything solid to work with, even for me. So when somebody disappears out of your life, I can certainly understand and can certainly feel for you the fact that if you don't know what happened, if you don't know if they're alive or dead, that's going to play havoc. And the best I can tell you there is that when that happens, Hold on to the memories that you had of the good times you had with the person. If you had a conflict with them before they vanished, which happens in a lot of cases when teenagers all of a sudden leave the house, because of constant conflict, hold on to the good times that you remember and keep a track of those. Do not, do your best not to hang on to, well, I fought with the person. Fighting does happen, absolutely. But by focusing on the good things that you had, in the case of a pet, focusing on the time that stayed laying right beside you, sitting on your lap, sitting at your feet. Focus on those times. Those are the good memories. Okay, and again, it comes back to the same issue that I mentioned before. You maximize the positive, you minimize the negative. Do your best to really force the memories of the positive things over top of when you get the negative memory. Like, for instance, well, I told the person I didn't want them around, and now they're gone. Now, you can dwell on that, or you can dwell on what it felt like to get up in the morning and see their face. Okay, you may have to work a little to bring that focal point to the face back, but that's why the photograph comes in handy. Okay, now the only time I've seen photographs that people really should not keep around is when they find that somebody has been murdered, and the memory they hang on to is that last thing. Like, I know of one chap in particular. They went to the one person's deathbed. Right. They saw them when they were passing away. And as they said, they wish they had never done that. And of course, when the other person passed, when the partner to the first one passed, they refused to go and see them. Because as it was put to me, what had happened was they knew they had had good times with the first one, but all they could remember the face of was when they were sick. Okay. And they said because of that, they refused to go and see the next individual to go. They refused to go and see them because they didn't want to be stuck with that memory. They wanted the smiling face in their mind. Okay, now that may seem cold. Some people will go and have no problem. Okay, I was fortunate. I managed to give my own father the last rites before he passed away. Okay, and much as he couldn't talk, he did end up with a tear in his eye, and my father was not one to cry very much. Right? It wasn't that he thought there was anything wrong with it, but everybody deals with mourning in their own way. And one thing to keep in mind, there is no time frame. There is no, oh, it's been long enough. Okay, it's been long enough when you're ready to move forward. However, there is this issue that if not moving forward is stopping you from enjoying life, then you might want to sit down and talk to the individual that passed away and let them know that you're having trouble moving forward. They may well be able to help you. I know that sounds completely backwards, but it works. Okay, if you don't believe me, give it a shot. See what happens. Don't just take my word for it. Okay, but the reality is, moving forward is, much as it's difficult, it is a choice that gets made. But, and this is a message very directly for the person that asked the question. They know who they are. Okay, the way they put it was the loved one that passed away, and I'm paraphrasing obviously. That was who they confided in. Right. Now, they recently connected with somebody who this loved one had actually connected with really well as well. And the question that the individual asked was, now that this special someone has passed, this is the individual, this is the pet that I confided in all my life, right, or all of his life anyway. And he says, how do I move forward when they're not there long enough for me to make absolutely certain that the person that I've recently found is that special someone. Okay, how do I know with my confidant passing away? And this is a message directly to that individual. That pet that you had that recently passed away, again, my condolences. But the fact that they took to the one that you're connected to now, and they accepted that individual into your life, okay, that was them already telling you you'd found somebody they were comfortable leaving you in the care of. It's that simple. They passed away. I mean, yes, they were old. They were dying of old age, but they were fighting to stay alive for a couple of years because they were waiting for you to find that somebody to take care of you once they were gone. So you brought them into your life. Your pet accepted them, okay, into the house, into their house, really, in their eyes. They accepted them in. That was them telling you, this is a good person. This is the person that I'm going to trust to take care of you because I'm no longer capable. Okay, that's how you cope with the idea that they're not there for you to find out if this is the right person that you found. They already told you. By letting them into the house, by accepting them in the way they did, they've already told you that is the person to replace them. They can't be there anymore. It's unfortunate, but corporeal life does come to a close more often than not. As a matter of fact, I've only heard of it once, well, twice, where it didn't quite work out that way. But the reality of it is, you know, when people talk about living forever, when you leave positive experiences behind, you leave yourself behind so other people remember you, that is where immortality comes from. Now, this special pet, okay, let somebody new into your life, and that was them saying, okay, I can no longer be here. My body just won't handle it anymore. So I'm going to go home, but I'm trusting your life, your happiness, to this individual you brought in. That's how you know you found the one that's going to work. Okay. Hopefully that will make sense. Now, on that note, again, my condolences to all of you who have lost somebody close, whether you know that they passed away and how, or whether they're still missing. Okay, my sincere condolences to you. Hopefully we get a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit the alert bell to let you know when the new videos come up. Okay, if you've got a question, if you've got in any field, be it personal, be it business, be it UFO, alien abduction related, doesn't matter. You know, near death, all of the metaphysical fields, most of them I work in. And I mean, I've been doing this since, well, I've been doing this all my life, but I've been doing it publicly since I was 10, so we're now at 48 years. Professionally, I've been doing it since 1986, which makes it 35 years, as in generating an income. Okay, now with that in mind, I'm going to bring this to a close, but until we talk again, which will be tomorrow sometime, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.